Peace and love, world. Peace and love. You're now rocking to the sounds and vibrations of your boy Malik Kilam, also known as Don Kilam. And as always, prosperity is your birthright. As always, I'm not a licensed attorney or tax expert. I'm doing this for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel like you need competent counsel, please go seek one. Because I'm not one. I'm not associated with the United States Corporation. They're not associated with my business. But look, check this out. What I want to go over today is capital funding versus operational funding. There's a difference. A lot of people are confused on a lot of things. When you start breaking down, because these are some of the things I go with my trustees in private. We talk about these things in a private trustee training. And it's important that you find yourself a mentor that understands trust. And shout out to the people that's studying with me, man, that help bring clarity with me. November 5th and 6th, I'll have some of those fellas there. Be Better Reynolds in the building. I'm talking about he doing major things, man. So shout out to him. Shout out to the group that I'm in with Walt too, man. I'm able to teach some people some things and maneuver correctly. But some of them is already doing big things, even more major than Don Kilam. So what is what is capital funding? Capital funding is the money that lenders and equity holders provide to a business for daily and long-term needs. A company's capital funding consists of both debt, bonds, and equity stock. The business uses this money for operating capital. The bond and equity holders expect to earn a return on their investments in the form of interest, dividends, and stock appreciation. To acquire capital or fixed assets such as land, building, and machinery, businesses usually raise funds through capital funding programs to purchase these assets. There are two primary routes a business can take to access funding: and raising capital through stock issuance and raising capital through debt. I hope this is making sense to you. If it's going to make sense to somebody that you know, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share with at least 2 people you know, 3 people you know. We are going over capital. Capital. That's what it is. Capital. You got to understand the difference between capital. There's capital and then there's just regular funding, operational funding. You follow me? Capital funding is it's something different. You got to understand what it is. It's to acquire capital. It's to acquire assets. This is what a holding company is good for, so they can go get capital types of funding, find ways to fund the capital, if that makes sense. You got to start really being around people. That's the best way. That's what I say. Got to. Trustee training. So, next. The difference between capital funds and operating funds. Building a new school and making improvements to an existing school building are examples of capital expenses. Paying the salary of teachers or principals is an example of operating expenses. So I hope that broke that down for you. But holding companies can control the operating procedures. Depends on how you have the agreement set up. They usually don't, but they own that usually, or can control it, because they're basically the trustees. In the same way with a trust, if you're operating in a trust, you understand, just implement your private trust corporation, or however you're operating in the public with the trust, and then the holding company is the trust. That's how I look at it. That makes sense. Now, where do capital funds come from? The main source of capital funds, like for government, schools. So, like for a school, these come from voter-approved bonds. And this is what I was talking about already. These are called general obligation bonds. Understand, in a general obligation bond, when you break it down, requires voter requirements. The government is a trust. A lot of people don't understand that. That's why you, the people, or we, the people, have to go in and supposedly vote. All right. Now the schools borrow money. They're private trust. All right. That's why they have a school board. They get it from the feds. Now, usually capital cannot be used for operating costs. It's used for capital. That's assets. I need you to understand assets, whether it's building, land, cars, anything of that nature. But while capital funds may not be used for operations, operation funds can be used for capital expenses. All right? So even though the capital funds, when you go get capital funds or capital from people, that's for the assets. That's what I'm saying. It's to add to the assets. Operational fund, and it can't be used for the operations usually, but the operation funds can be used for the capital. Now, so when you go, you can even go get grants. So, and I'm gonna go over both of them. So, an operating grant, also known as an unrestricted grant. Unrestricted is a working capital fund given to an organization to support its mission and pay for expenses such as rent, salary, anything you might need, day-to-day costs of running the businesses. Operating grants are extremely sought after because they're unrestricted in nature. Organizations are free to use the funds as they see fit. Because operating grants are so popular and because the money can be used however the companies like. The application process may be competitive. Your organization must prove a track record, demonstrate strong and responsible leadership, provide a clear outline plan on how your organization will use this money. And there's different ways to get those. It pays to become a private member with MalikKilam.com or DonKilam.com. So operating grants, unrestricted. Now, capital grants is a finite timeline grant with specific objectives. Capital grants, also known as capital funds, are generally granted for the express purpose of gaining capital, equipment, furniture, and other major material purchases, assets, renovation, refurbishment, or restoration, construction of a building or a new facility, lands purchase. Capital grants are often part of a larger phase capital campaign, so you should not rely on a capital grant to fund all your capital needs. If you can prove that something is historical, you can get a grant to preserve it. You got to start thinking outside the box. These are certain things, like if you can prove something is historical, it's for you and your ancestors. What do you think that some of the tribes did out here? Got a bunch of land. If you Google Oklahoma right now, man, they had to give all that back to the natives, man. Just look it up on the maps, man. That's Choctaw Nation, Cherokee Nation. It's not Oklahoma no more. They can't tell you that in the public. And just like with operational grants, capital grants, peace and love. Apply for your a capital grant is not hard. We got the internet these days, man. Capital grants are a great way to purchase meaningful capital for your business without breaking the bank. However, you need to think carefully about how you will use your grant money and make sure you have a plan for getting further funding. You want to work with other people. You want to have a lot of people on this. So I'm trying, like I'm in a few groups, right? I'm talking to people. I'm telling you, you wanna work together. You wanna create multiple businesses and work together, then learn how to get funding and grants together as acquisitions or mergers, however you want to do it. That's the best way that I think how you can get the biggest money quick. But have a real plan for it. Have a real plan. Long term is the key. Have real plans. Start thinking long term for you and your business. And when you think long term for you and your business, then things shall start manifesting for you. I can't make this up. Just trust in it, trust in yourself. Know great things are coming your way. Prosperity is your birthright. Go to MalikKilam.com. Now, if you find this information valuable, you already know what to do. Leave a donation on the Cash App. That is THEDONKILAM. The Don Kilam. I don't care if it's $1, $5, $10. It's much appreciated, man. I got classes coming up. Check out the website, MalikKilam.com, MalikKilam.com. Or go to DonKilam.com. Much peace and love.